Three Grots in a Vox is intended for a mature audience. This means there will be crude language and discussions of adult themes, especially if we're talking about Tactical Marines or Gabriel Seth. Viewer discretion is not only advised but encouraged. All opinions are our own and often given for humorous purposes. Any advice is given largely for entertainment purposes and would probably be ignored. But if you do learn something useful, count it as a win.
Alright. Tony looking professional again. Have you got another bottle or can of disgusting, horrible, poisonous, petrol-flavoured
Actually, yes.
What have you got?
So, what I've got is this is called the Unbeliever. Oh, that's going to come out. I'll put the light up a bit.
So execute order 55 or something.
No, this is called the Unbeliever. Our Unbelievers here, I'm reading the back here, covers all things sour, from subtle and tart. Hey. I've never known a subtle tart yet. To face scrunching and lip smacking. We've dropped the pH, so more acidic, but ramped up the flavour with carefully selected. You see, hang on.
So
I
War
reckon
of the
this was
Worlds
written by someone who doesn't know what pH is. Because unless their previous versions were alkali,
which is unlikely.
Is that War of the Worlds graphic on the front of it?
It's got a UFO, but I just thought it was wicked.
Yeah.
So genuinely, there's a wine and beer shop near, not too far from me, and I was there the other day, and I had a little mosey about, and I was like, "That looks mad! Pineapple and Sabro Goza, or gosh,
this is not another gift.
No, I bought this one. It looks really bonkers.
Okay, fair enough.
I've never had a pineapple beer before.
You know, you're shopping for beer and my shopping for beer, the complete polar opposite. I go into shop and go, that looks nice. I will buy it.
You go in there and go, special brew, yeah?
Not anymore, I don't. Maybe in my 20s. Now I pick something that sounds nice. You go in there and goes like, what's the weirdest... If they had like a chocolate strawberry
how can you judge
beer,
how something's going to taste based on its looks anyway? So you might as well just pick it on as arbitrary thing as the weirdest
genuinely,
looking
what
can
I'll
you
do
possibly
is,
can.
I don't buy much beer because I know I've got this sort of bit of reputation going on. But I generally, I'll have one can or drink or something on a Friday after the week is ended. I might have a bottle or a can or something on a Saturday if I really want one. And then I'll have one or two while we film. And that's it. So I'll go into one of these shops and I'll buy like 4 cans of beer. And I'll go 3 that look fairly safe, but, you know, maybe I've not had before, but like normal ones. And then I'll always try and pick at least one that's
crazy,
just mad
weird
and
thing
off the wall.
Yeah.
Because you never know. It might be amazingly tasty.
Fair
you don't know. You've got to try these things.
Oh, cool. Welcome, everybody, to the latest episode of Three Grots in a Vox. Tonight, we are discussing a board game called Star Wars Imperial Assault in an episode written by the lovely Mr. Blood Angels Commander John himself, who will take us through it and tell me when to move from one slide to the next, hopefully. Or he'll forget. We'll just be sat on this slide forever.
Yeah, I haven't played
I've got
Imperial
my
Assault.
gums shrivel up. Sorry, my teeth I think are going to fall out in a second because the whole thing just like... It's like... It's definitely pineapple.
Is that the sour doing that?
It's sour. It's certainly sour. You know that whole thing about pineapple, you know, eats you. It doesn't. It's just got some enzymes that will have some effect. They break down proteins, but it feels like it is. Like, oh my god, there goes all the fleshy parts of my face.
Okay.
I mean, this is why I pick safe beer. Anyway,
I quite like it actually.
Okay, good.
Excellent.
Good. Otherwise, it would have been.
Do you like to the point you buy it again?
Oh, actually, I'll have another one. Yeah. I might do. You know what? It's better than that mango one that I had that time.
Fair enough. Buy a can for Chris. He'll love it.
Yeah, he will actually. He's getting really into his weird beers. I've been a bad influence on him.
So, disclaimer: I have not played Imperial Assault since before COVID. I have a giant collection here, and I got collection all the little boxes here as well. So I have a huge collection of Imperial Assault. I love the game. But when I was asked to write an episode, I was like, oh god. Do you get XP at the end of missions? I think you do, but I don't remember.
You do.
So I had to like grab the rulebook and like flick through it, and I took loads of photos, so it should be an interesting episode. If you've never played Imperial Assault, this should hopefully.
I've also not played it since COVID due to lack of lockdown
Friends.
ability to get together and play it, and it's a board game with miniatures and everything, so it's really fun to play in person. But I did play it a fair bit before then, so hopefully I'm fairly au fait with it.
Yeah, I had 2 campaigns going before it, but I've never actually gone all the way through. But if I could find a regular group and I wasn't doing my YouTube channel, then I would probably love to play Imperial Assault on a
So hang on,
weekly
are we
basis.
doing an episode where one of the 3 of us didn't even know what Imperial Assault was,
Yes.
Yep.
and the other 2 of the 3 of us haven't played it in 2 years, 3 years?
Yes.
Technically, yes, that's correct. That's
And
kinda correct.
also one of the 3 of us who has played it has never finished it.
Yeah, I mean,
There's various modes of play.
I mean, we're the authority on a lot of things.
Imperial Assault being one of them, obviously, with their vast array of 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
absolutely qualified to do an episode
Well, the thing is,
of the game Star Wars Imperial Assault, because it is very good.
we're probably about as qualified as we are doing an episode of anything else.
There you
Fair
go.
point, well made.
That's a very good point. All right, next slide. Let's make a start. Cue the music. Tony, you're the music man.
I'm not, like, don't put me on the spot like that.
Does he? Who lives on Drury Lane?
I was hoping he would
enjoy.
do the Star Wars music and then I could read this while he hums it. I mean, I thought this was. I had
Yeah,
this
Well,
plan.
it'll be so good we'll get copyright strikes.
If you'd have actually animated it so it like scrolled up
I
in
might
a
put the
really,
effort
really
in,
slow
yeah.
video fashion, that
I'd
could
have
be
whacked
creepy.
out my John Williams.
It's
Yeah.
a photo from the rule book. How am I going to make it scroll up in a PowerPoint?
You have a
These
camera,
kind of
you film
production
a video,
values.
and you move the paper slowly up like that.
Okay.
You could have just got your camera really close to the page and just done that as you've gone
Come
down.
on, John, put some effort into this. You think you're a professional YouTuber or
There's
something?
actually a website that does it for you because I've used it in for kids
Is it?
lessons before. Yeah. So
Wow.
you type in, you copy paste your text in, then you hit the button and it scrolls, and you can like download that video, whack it in a PowerPoint, and then use it to start your lesson off. And then no kids get it because apparently now they don't know what Star Wars is.
So when you watch a Blood Angels Commander episode and it has that tech involved in it, you know exactly where John's got it from.
So
Yeah. And you can see where he puts his effort in as well, can't
I
you?
was going to say,
At
if we
Blood
go,
Angels Commander, you've got kilts, you've got bagpipes, you've got castles, and here we've got a wonky photo.
oh well, at least on here you get a laugh. Though you don't get any of that on my channel. It's very here's the tactics, here's the seriousness.
It could do.
What, treat it seriously? Or just like,
Bring
So,
laughter into his channel.
It's funny that this is
this
this
is a
is.
laugh track.
I was going to say this is like the first page of the manual, but what is interesting is the first tutorial mission of Imperial Assault happens post episode 4. So literally what has happened is Death Star has been blown up. Spoiler if you didn't watch episode 4. Darth Vader's come in. He's been shot by Han Solo. And then the rebels are on that Yavin planet, which was just like 5 minutes from where the Death Star
No,
was.
they're on the moon of Yavin 4. aren't they?
Okay, they're moving on Yavin 4. So the mission, the game starts, the tutorial mission opens with you as generic unnamed rebels. Well, you have names, but you're not like any of the main characters. Like you're not playing as Luke, or you're playing as like, well, we'll get some of the character names later. I don't remember them
Are
off
you
the top
allowed
of
to
my
play
head.
as Luke?
No.
Well, the named characters do exist. They're like NPCs you can have who turn up every now and then to help you, but you are a generic unnamed hero who's working for and fighting for the rebellion.
Yes, and you do control the named characters, but you're never really playing as them. Like they join you in a mission, they'll help you out, but you're not really ever like you are never them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, imagine you like playing Baldur's Gate or XCOM or something, and then
Oh,
a
like when
named
you run
NPC
play Baldur's
turns up.
Gate and you run into Drizzt.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and you play
And
him for a
cut-
mission.
Yeah, you fight with him for a little bit, and then if you're a dick, you then like exploit the game to murder him and steal his sword.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Yes. So the first mission is that, and
I love Baldur's Gate.
bunch of the different missions have different scrolls like this. So you get your intro scroll. The way I would describe it in a nutshell is it's like D&D light, right? So it's like it doesn't have all the story of D&D, but it has a little bit of story peppered in with like a Hero Quest style board game.
Star Wars Imperial Assault is all the fight scenes of a tabletop roleplay campaign without the roleplay in between them. You just go straight into the fight scenes and you do them in a miniatures battle style fashion with all sorts of tiles, so you can do loads of different setups and stuff, and you have a campaign, all this. I'm sorry.
So does this mean then when you're playing, you don't have that one person at the table who wastes the entire session in a fucking shop?
No.
Like haggling over the one gold piece that it costs for your night's stay in this tavern.
They can do that. You'll probably lose the scenario if they do that, because the scenario doesn't have rules to account for anything like that.
Yes, it's D&D light. There is lore sprinkled in, but for the most part, you remove all that. Like, there's none of this. Like, you walk into a bar, what are you going to do? And then you spend 45 minutes in the bar ordering a round of drinks, and nothing happens, right? And then
the phone rings and stuff. You've all got to go home. Or whatever.
You skip straight to the bit where you've all got to kill some rats in the basement. That's exactly what it is.
Yes. All right. Next slide. So there's 3 modes to Imperial Assault. There's the campaign mode, there's a skirmish mode, and there's also a co-op mode. Most of my play has been the campaign mode.
How can you play a co-op mode with one player?
Because there's an app that will control the Empire player, and the app is very cool, and I got some photos and screenshots of the app later on.
Who are you cooperating with?
So, generally speaking, the game is a cooperative game. Each of you plays one rebel character, and you are fighting the Empire. The person running the game as the GM controls the Empire, unless you've got the app and you're doing the app to control the Empire.
Oh, so you actually do need a GM. It's like D&D and stuff. So I mean, I was just being cheeky because it says clearly cooperative 1 to 4, and that's that's the co-op that I can get behind because I don't need any friends.
Now, in the basic mode of the game, yes, you need a GM to put everything together, to run the story, to run every steps of the mission, and to control where all the NPCs go and try and attack the heroes who are trying to complete the mission.
Okay, but you have a character like D&D. You make your character. It's Jeff. And
you pick a character from a list of character sheets, and you equip them with
like
gear.
Pre-made ones.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pre-made characters.
But there's probably about 20 NPC
There's like
characters.
6 in the base set, and then each expansion comes with another 3 or 4 that adds in on top of that. So there's a lot of variety. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a huge variety of characters, and don't knock the core of WoW till you've tried it. The AI on the app is brilliant. Like, if you can put on an iPad the app, it will spawn all the Empire units. You kind of have to give the app some information. You have to tell them what characters you are and where you're deploying and stuff like that. But I mean, because it needs to know for its AI.
Yeah.
But it's legitimately good. The app.
And you can totally play it on your own. You'll control 4 rebel characters yourself if you're the one person, and the app will control the Empire, and you can just play through it like that. Yeah, it's perfectly valid.
Since this game came out, Fantasy Flight Games, which made this, they also made Legion, or Star Wars Legion, if you're not familiar with that. They've actually done a Lord of the Rings game, which is the same, and it's got an app as well, which you can download the app on Steam as well if you've got a computer or a laptop. And the Lord of the Rings game apparently gets, like, you look on Board Game Geek, which is a website, if you're not familiar with it, reviews board games, gives them ratings out of 10, a bit like Metacritic for movies. The Lord of the Rings game got really good reviews, and people are saying the app's amazing. So, so this is what you get in the main box as well when you start. So you get a lot of shit in the main box, and it's not even expensive. It's like $69 maybe. So
I think it's still on sale. It's not like
it's not in production anymore, I don't think. So all the stock that's out there is what there is. I'm fairly sure they're not reprinting it at this point. They've given up on making new content for it as well. But yeah,
is that because they've sort of moved on to Legion and? Yeah,
they've kind of, well, they totally could go back and make new stuff for this with all the new stuff that is in Star Wars these days, but they'd got to a point where they thought they'd mined all the easy stuff and they could like do something else instead.
Right. So, but they've still got the license. It's not like, because of course Fantasy Flight used to make a lot of Games Workshop property games.
Yeah, they've still got the Star Wars licenses,
and they lost the license, and then basically had to pull all that from the shelves.
They can still legally sell it. Yeah.
I think the next slide has some pictures of the box, and I opened up my box. I think that so here's your core box on the left, and then you can
box.
Yeah, well,
yes, it's wicked.
It is. It's very cool.
And so the map that gets made is basically like a tiled map in that it's double-sided. So there's a load of different missions, load of different combinations you can make, and each expansion comes with tiles which integrate to the main set.
So the Hoth one will have snow tiles, and the Coruscant one will have city tiles, and all this sort of thing.
So that when you buy an expansion, you get like a new set of coloured tiles for that. Is that sort of how that?
Which can make bigger and bigger levels as you go on, I guess. And each expansion typically comes with new enemies, new player characters, and sometimes new characters. And then there's also like blister boxes for each expansion. So each blister box would bring new characters into that expansion. Like if you bought the Hoth box set, I think. Do you know what? It's not. It's a Lothal box set. If you buy the Lothal box set, then you can buy Thrawn separately, or you can buy the Rebels from this TV series separately, and you can bring them into the game. There's a lot. There is a lot of content for this game. There's probably £1,000 worth of. By the time you put all the blisters and all the expansions together, like that's how much. And this box would be like £69. So you got 34 miniatures in this box. So you're only looking at like £2 a miniature. So £1,000 is a lot of stuff.
I don't know if you cover it later, but what's the quality of the miniatures like?
A little bit lower than Star Wars Legion, I'd say. Like 10% lower, Mark? What would you say?
Yeah, they're definitely not workshop quality. Each miniature that you see there, with the exception of the ATST, is one piece. And they'll come a little bit wonky, a little bit bent.
So are they like PVC miniatures, or are they?
Yeah. They're not the best, but they're also not expensive either. Really,
because I've got a few now of the Steam Forge games, and they use like a one-piece.
Yes, they're
PVC
very
miniature.
similar to that. If you've got Dark Souls board game from Steam Forged or Horizon or any of the related ones that they've done, they're very similar in quality to those.
So you can paint them, but they're not really designed for painters. They're designed as game pieces. That you could theoretically
but
paint
equally so they're detailed enough
that you
can paint them and put a decent job on them quite happily.
I mean, I've got all mine painted fully.
I believe you.
I painted all of Resident Evil 2, the board game.
You haven't even opened all the boxes, John.
I have. You're going to see my box in the next slide. You painted all of Resident Evil, tell me.
I did, yeah. All of Resident Evil 2, the board game, when that came out, I painted all of it. All the zombies, all the characters, and you can tell who they are because they're colours and they've got quite pronounced like features, if that makes sense. Like Leon's got a big RPD shirt on and that, so you can see who it is, but he hasn't really got a face. And that's kind of what I'm picturing now when I'm thinking of these sort of models and that, of maybe big old robes. So if you paint it brown, you can see it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, or you can't because he's dead. Maybe you paint him blue. But you see, but it hasn't really got facial features. It's a little bit janky, and the lightsabers are slightly wonky.
Yeah. It's basically where you're at.
They're getting old now, and they don't have blue pills in that galaxy far, far away.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so while we're talking about the modular board, let me just tell you how this links to the app. So this is a screenshot from the app. So in the app, it will tell you, like, hey, you need core box this, you need expansion box this if you want to play this map. You will build the map as shown, and see these like tokens here on the left, and then the corresponding like rebel things on the right. It'll actually tell you like these are spawn areas, and it doesn't specifically keep track of where your characters are, but it gives the NPCs like 3. So when it spawns like a rat or a rodent, you can see there it would spawn one of these in the top right. It would say like it's going to move towards the closest enemy. It's then going to do if it's in range, it's going to do a tail sweep or whatever. So it's like it's not the smartest. Like the AI isn't perfect, but if you're just looking for fun and you don't have someone that wants to be the GM,
happen every turn into the app then.
No. Okay. You just tell it when creatures are destroyed or when like when you lose wounds or whatever. You tell it that. So it's like it's keeping track, but it's not keeping track.
Is it smart? So it will try, because like if you're playing D&D or something like that, if you've got a really good DM or your party is not masochistic, a good DM makes it so that every encounter in that you nearly die, but you don't quite. So you get that kind of feeling of overcoming things, and it like, because you don't want to just party wipe in the first damn dungeon you go to.
Sure.
Or is it, so if you said you're putting wounds in that, so if your characters are getting pretty wounded in that, is it just going to really pile it on and gank someone, or is it going to try and like maybe back off a bit to keep it?
I've seen it do both. I've seen it like completely ignore somebody on one wound it would guarantee kill. But I mean, I guess that's just the way it is, maybe with certain characters or whatever. But all I want to say is when I was playing on the app, we genuinely had a great experience because the app has all the Star Wars sound effects and stuff like built in. So when it says like spawn a probe droid at 2323 or something, you actually like beep 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 beep, and the app generally felt fun. I had a lot of fun. I had just as much fun playing as on the app as I had playing on with a DM. So
the campaign I've run through with this with some friends, I was running it. I was the Empire, and my friends were all the player characters for it, and I had great fun being the Empire and just like occasionally pulling out all the stops to blow the ever-loving shit out of them and make it as close as I possibly could, or just choosing when to maybe dial it back a little bit to give them a little bit more of an easier time of it.
Like a good DM will.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, so it is DM and there is calls. I think I've got a screenshot later on where I show a picture of the rulebook and there is calls out. Like, for example, you would open a chest and it would say, like, now read this paragraph to the players. Yeah. So there is definitely, there's lore sprinkled through the missions. And like I said, the missions are you as a rebel post episode 4, not the named characters. So it's quite cool. It's quite unique.
And each expansion will take place in a different time area and a different planet. Doing different things and so on.
So does that mean you don't carry your character over to the expansions?
Not from campaign to campaign, no. Each campaign is within that particular expansion, and once you get to the end of that campaign, that's it for your career of that particular character, unless you want to take that character again and start from scratch on a new campaign.
Right, so it's not like you don't sequentially build up your character till...
I think you'd probably get a bit overpowered if you did that.
Yeah, you'd get very overpowered doing that. The balancing is such that it's the power of the enemies that you face as the campaign progress is designed to be balanced with how you progress with that power level. And if you were to take characters from one campaign to the next, that would break it.
There's a lot of missions though, even in the core set. There's like 25 missions in the campaign. I think the expansion missions are more like 10 or 12.
And there's a shit ton of optional side missions as well that you may or may not face. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Okay, let's jump forward. Yeah, so here's your core box. So I have everything in the foam. You can buy that custom in foam inserts. So I bought that for my core box. On the left, you can see basically the vanilla models. If you count them, there is 34 there. I think a few Royal Guards, a few probe droids, a bunch of stormtroopers and rebel troopers.
So are those funny cat things from episode 2?
Yep.
They are indeed, yeah.
They are, that's correct. They're vicious little fucks as well.
You've got Darth Vader up there at the top middle, and then you've got your ATST on the right, and then you can see my terrain. You can see how it's double-sided, because one side's the jungle, one side's sort of the Imperial. And they do give you some markers, like you see at the top middle on the right-hand photo how there's that red circle marker. That is for there was a separate model that is a blister box, but maybe you haven't bought the blister box. Do you remember like the Orc Dreadnought in 2nd edition, like a cardboard Dreadnought? That is what that is. So if you bought the Lothal expansion but didn't buy Thrawn, they would give you a little circle so you could be like, you can use Thrawn without buying him, which is cool, right?
Yeah, it's a way that you can play the full range of characters without necessarily having bought all of the models. You get some of the models in the box, but not all of them, so they can get more of your money, which is fine.
And I think each blister box, or not every blister box, most of them actually came with an optional mission that character... how do I explain it, Mark? It's like
a loyalty mission, a side mission, a way to get that character sort of added to your repertoire permanently. Just little bits of story and plot for them to bring into the game.
So
you're all playing Rebels versus Imperials. There's no like Imperial campaign or...
There's no Imperial campaign. No, it's always Rebels versus Imperials.
Sometimes you're fighting mercenaries, and those cats would be counted as mercenaries.
Right, yep.
All right, but you can't run around as Darth Vader.
No.
But you can play skirmish mode, which is a PvP version where one person does play as Empire and one person does play as Rebel, but then it becomes a 2-player game, and I guess you could play
skirmish
Darth
mode
Vader.
Is much more like a game of Warhammer where you've got 2 sides and you just fight.
I didn't buy it for skirmish mode, honestly. I've never played skirmish mode. That wasn't what appealed to me. I like co-op games like this.
Although I understand they have had like global tournaments in the skirmish mode and all this sort of thing before it all sort of petered out. But
So maybe I'm showing my naivety here, but is this actually kind of a big deal, if you know what I mean? Is this a big game? I just haven't heard
It
of.
was a big deal, but the last new product that they made for it would have been
Probably
like
just
3 years ago.
Yeah, just before Star Wars Legion started coming out. I think they shifted their focus to Legion.
Yeah. It's one of the more sort of well-known and popular board games alongside Gloomhaven, that sort of area.
It's brilliant, though. I mean, we can play it at some point. I'd love to play a game with you guys. And we could even have the Empire be done by the NPC.
I would love to run a small campaign or set of games for you two and Colin and Andrew when we eventually visit you. That'd be cool. I'd be well up for that.
Perfect. All right, next slide. So this was the picture of the app from Steam. So just wanted to say that, like, you could see here that you can actually tell it what boxes and shit you own in the app, and then that will show you what missions you can go on throughout your campaign. So, like, you select, hey, I have these 3 expansions, and the app will say, cool, you can play these 3 missions or whatever. So, very positive on the app. But
So do you have to buy the app separately?
No, it's free. It's free.
That's free.
It's on iOS as well, yeah, I mean,
can you play at all? Because, like you mentioned earlier, that you can't. They're not producing new copies of the game. But so if I couldn't go out now, download this app and play some Imperial Assault.
You couldn't play it with just the app. No, that's not a viable way to play.
Yeah, without the board game. No, you need the core set. 100%.
Yeah, the app is not self-contained ability to play the game.
No, yeah, but if you just had the core box, you could start. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's custom dice then. No, it's fine. Let's talk about dice. So it's D6s, but they're all custom. You've got white and black ones, which are basically your armor saves, and then you've got red, yellow, green, and blue, which are all different types of damage.
So when you're defending, you roll either a white or a black or multiples, and white is like heroic dodging, getting out of the way, and black is the strength of your armor to be able to tank hits more than anything else.
Right.
And if you're rolling to hit, you get to roll a number of the coloured dice of various different colours based on the kind of thing you're attacking with.
And you very quickly, like I said, it's been a while since I played, but you very quickly realise, I think if I remember correctly, green is the best damaging dice. But I could be wrong. No, it's not. What's the best for damaging dice?
I think blue is for range. I think yellow is for huge amounts of, like, sort of surge, which are special Wazzy powers. Green is general attacking, and red is huge amounts of raw damage dealing.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe we just unlocked red when in my campaign, but you do very quickly realise that you have different guns that use different dice, or different attacks that use different dice, and you'll know by, like, the second mission you play, you'll be like, this gun uses a green and a blue, so I always want to use that because that's way stronger than, like, the one red that'll be rolling on, like, another stun baton.
A lightsaber might do 3 reds, which would do really, really huge amounts of damage, but with no range to them whatsoever because they're melee only. And a sniper rifle might do a couple of blues, which wouldn't hit very hard but could shoot really quite far.
So on the red dice there, because you see there's no number, that means there's no range. So, like, on the blue dice right in the middle with the sort of like hit reticle and a 2, that means like 1 hit at range 2. So if you were trying to shoot someone 4 tiles away, you would need 4. So if you had another dice that had a 2 on it, then you could shoot 4 tiles away. So weapon range is determined on your dice roll.
Yeah, range. The way they do range in this is one of the few mechanics in this game I'm not really cool with, because you can't always guarantee that you're going to be able to shoot an enemy at a certain distance away from you, because how far you can shoot is based on a random result of the dice that you roll, which doesn't feel great to me.
I mean, I guess but I mean, the dice are balanced, right? So if you've got a pistol, you're probably not going to have great range. If you have a rifle, so
also, realistically, if you're rolling certain dice, you can guarantee you're going to get at least a 1, 2, and a 2, and therefore be able to shoot at range 5 with some. So it's not as bad as.
So I'm looking at this, like, charts, trying to get my head around it at the moment. So the blue dice then is the one that can shoot the furthest. Is that right?
Yes.
And then the red dice can't shoot anywhere at all because they're all melee.
Correct.
Yes.
And the green one's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And the yellow one is like, I don't know, shotguns or something.
Surge is the little wiggly line, and what that means is special effect. You can spend points of surge to do special effects based on what's attacking, whether that's a point of armor piercing, or a point of extra damage, or a point of regain.
So is that like for those like little shocky sticks the Jawas use?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't do a lot of damage, but it makes you.
Or like Boba Fett's got loads of weird, tricky shit that he could do instead of just regular damage to people, like tying them up with his like wrist launcher or whatever. That sort of thing.
Yeah, it's got a whole array of status effects like bleed and stun and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And the status effects you spend surge on to activate, based on who's attacking or what.
Can I be a Jedi in this then?
There is one Jedi, I believe, or maybe there's two that you
can. In the base set, one of the player characters is a Force sensitive whose teacher was a Jedi, and part of their story arc through the campaign is getting the lightsaber and learning to become more powerful and using Force stuff.
But for the most, think of it in Rogue One, right? One of the characters is actually either, I think Rogue One based their name, or Imperial Assault based the name of their female gunslinger on Rogue One, right? Because she's called Jin
Ezro or something. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Cool. I think I've got a picture of her, maybe even next couple of slides.
Yeah, we'll come to it. Next one.
Sure. There you go.
There we go.
Jin Odan, the smuggler with a pistol. So you can see here, like, when she does a melee attack at the bottom right, she rolls a blue dice, and then her gun will actually be a separate card, right? You don't see like a gun on her profile. We'll come to some weapons, but you do see like an ability there that requires 2 surges, so you can do a quick draw. Here's your character select from the app, so you could just see like a bunch of different characters that you can choose from. And then this is a picture of her next to a Star Wars Legion model. So you were asking about scale and size and quality. Then I guess, like I said, they're not.
If I was interested in playing Star Wars Legion, I would absolutely take all of my Imperial Assault models and play them in Legion quite happily.
So they look, from just looking at this picture, they look slightly, maybe 10% smaller.
Yeah. 10% smaller, 10% less detail, I'd say. Because the Legion ones are multi-part kits, right?
I don't know, I bought one.
Yeah, they're multi-part kits, yeah. And I guess the thing that usually happens with single-part kits is what Mark said, is you get warping on like a lightsaber or a long rifle or something. You can fix that, put them in hot water for a minute.
Thinking about other manufacturers, you tend to get fucking ridiculous mold lines and that on one part miniatures and things like that.
You're absolutely right. They're very definitely mass-produced for cheapness rather than quality.
They don't quite have the same level of basing, right? Because the base is just built on, so it's much thinner, and it's not really doesn't feel like a proper like a miniatures war game base.
The base will occasionally warp rather than being an actual model base. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but so there's a lot of characters to choose from. You can obviously build a squad of 4 with your friends. You build, if someone's taking the smuggler, maybe you take an engineer or something. The Twi'lek over there on the left, that's one of the Jedis.
You can have like a stealthy sniper type. You can have the Wookiee, who's great at bashing people over the head with a big stick. You've got a leader type who will buff other characters. You've got a healer type. There's all sorts of ways you can build party composition in this.
Yeah. And then everybody has some abilities, and I believe I hope I'm not confusing this with another game, Mark. These cards are double-sided, the character cards.
They are.
And when you get a certain level of power, you can flip the card and you get more abilities or more.
No, that's not quite correct. So the first side is when they're fully healthy. When you take 10 damage, you flip to the other side, at which point they're a bit wounded. Then they can take another 10 damage, at which point they're essentially knocked out and out of the game.
That's it, yeah.
Do they die at the end of the scenario?
Player characters can't die.
So there's no permadeath in this.
No, that's right.
So does that mean then, arguably, you can't lose, as it were?
You can lose scenarios because they've got win conditions and fail conditions, and whether you win or lose a scenario will change what the next mission is in the campaign structure.
But it won't fail the campaign.
You can't really end the campaign from character death, no, unless you want to stop playing a character and start doing another one for any particular given reason.
But I think I forget what these 2 other icons. I think one's almost like searching for traps, right?
No. The 3 things at the bottom there with the colours on, one of them is not a melee attack, unfortunately. You can do skill checks, and there's a strength skill check, and there's an observation skill check, and there's a technical skill check. And she is not that strong, so she only rolls 1 dice on a strength check. She's moderately good at spotting things, so she rolls 2 dice on an observation check. But she's really good with technical stuff and hacking and breaking and entering, so she rolls 3 dice for a technical skill check. That's what those are.
Perfect. Okay, like I said, it's been a long time since I played.
All right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Cool. Next one.
Yeah, so here's a little collection of what I have. So on the far left, you see... This is what you get in the base game. So you get like the guide to play the skirmish, you get a whole learn to play book, and I've got some screenshots in the learn to play book so we can see how easy it is to get started. You have your campaign guide, and then you also have like a rules reference guide. It feels like a lot of books, but really you just you go through the learn to play once, then you just need the rule reference and the campaign. There's
Never read the
5...
skirmish book unless you particularly want to play skirmish.
I was going to say there's 5 of the big box expansions. I think that might be... No, that's 6. I can't count. That might be all
6.
of them, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
I think I have all of them. So you can buy them in any order. You don't necessarily need to, if you just want to play on Hoth. The reason I actually bought Hoth first is because it's got those hate hunter-killer droids from the Old Republic. I don't know if you know them. HK-47.
You do, however, need the base game to play any of the expansions.
Yeah.
That is a hard requirement.
So, but if you just wanted to do missions in the Heart of the Empire, or you want to do missions with Boba Fett or Jabba's Palace, the bigger boxes, Return to Hoth, Hearts of the Empire, and Jabba's Realm, have more full campaigns. I would say that the other 3 boxes, they're more like side mission campaigns than a main story.
That's about right.
So it's each one of those boxes like one self-contained campaign. It's got story, it's got events, it's got stuff.
Yes.
So you buy that box, you play through that campaign, you get to the end of the story.
Yep.
100%,
and then you can either replay it or not if you wish, with different characters taking a different path based on whether you fail or succeed or choices you make through the campaign. So they do have replayability.
And each one has like 10 new enemy types or 4 new player characters, and they also link to a couple of blisters. You can see there I've got the Han Solo blister. So if you got to a mission where Han Solo could be there, for example, you were doing a mission on Hoth, basically, if you have the Han Solo blister, you can bring him in and he'll help the rebels for a little while. If you don't have the Han Solo blister, you can just say, like, well, just bring in another rebel character that you have, right? Because, like, they sort of just skirt the edge of, like...
Yeah, whereas buying the Han Solo blister expansion separately will allow you to plug him and the rules that are contained within it into any of the campaigns at any given point that you particularly wanted to.
Yeah. So if you have a love for just 1 or 2 characters, you could just buy them and bring them in. It's really up to yourself. I think they did that to get people like me who are ultimate collectionists that just want everything.
Oh yeah, totally. You want to buy all the favourite characters and whatnot.
Yeah. But I suspect now, you might correct me if I'm wrong, that some of those characters are absolute rocking horse teeth to get.
Some of them absolutely correct, yes. It's on the edge where some of them are starting to go for stupid money.
Like probably Luke, Han, so on and so forth.
Jabba the Hutt's actually proving really quite annoying for me at the moment. I've got a big Amazon wish list of all the ones that I'm missing, and I just watch the prices go up and down. If they like drop below a tenner, then I'll pick them up, and they do occasionally with various sales, but they're starting to creep up, so I might have to just suck it up and complete my collection at some point.
Do you know the
have
one
you got many that you haven't got then? Have you got many you haven't got then?
I don't know. I've got probably...
I only want a ballpark, like 10 or 5
70,
or 150
of them.
So you got a big chunk of them.
Oh, yeah. I've got a lot, but not all.
I have all of them. They're all painted as well, as you saw in the other photo. I mean, totally finished. The one that annoyed me was the Dewback. You know the stormtrooper riding on the Dewback with a big energy lance? He was like 30 quid. And I was like, fine, I guess.
Is that
just to finish
MSRP or is that just what they
I think MSRP was like 15 or 16, but for whatever reason, the Stormtrooper and the Dewback was like one of... I guess they maybe didn't make that many Stormtroopers in the Dewback, because let's face it, who really wants that when there's so many other cool characters? Yeah. But I was like, I want it to finish my collection, so I spent 30 quid on it. So yeah, that's a rundown of all the stuff. And I said on the slide that there's a variety of missions. If you think that the base game has about 20, each of these campaigns have... I think the big boxes have about 12, the smaller boxes probably have about 8.
Yeah.
There's like 100 different missions.
And they could be infiltrate, sneak in, straight out fight, retrieve this, rescue this. A lot of the missions have a thing where they'll tell you the setup of the mission as you're going into it, but they'll not make the victory conditions clear until you're about halfway through and you've hit a couple of trigger points, at which point the timer will start and the explosives will begin to count down, and you've got to try and rush to complete them and get out the other side and all this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the main thing I like about this is that when we were playing it, it's like the missions probably somewhere between, like, I would say, like, small missions might take 45 minutes, long ones might take just like an hour and a half, where it's like sometimes you would play D&D and you would play for like 6 hours and you would leave the session and you go, what happened? Like, we did nothing. How did we manage to do nothing in 6 hours? Where like this, if you spent 6 hours, you'd be like, we did 3 missions and we got some new gear, because at the end of each mission you can like get loot and credits and you can spend them.
Because Chris spent 2 hours haggling in a fucking shop.
Yeah.
For example, yes.
For a sort of 6 hour gaming period, I would normally get through a couple of campaign missions with the gaming crew I was doing it. And that includes setup, put all the pieces out, put them together in the right way, get your characters out, remind you what all the skills you've got are, play through the mission, do all the admin stuff at the end, work out what gear you got, work out what XP you got, work out what you're spending it on, take all the bits apart, put them together for the next mission, etc., etc., etc.
Is it one of those games that's got quite a long setup time then for each mission?
Only in as much as the more tiles you've got, the more tiles you've got to sort through to find the one you want.
Yeah.
Unless you're particularly good at organising them.
Because again, you know, I know it's not the same game, but like I played a lot of like Resident Evil game and and things like that, and it's not quick to set up and play a scenario, because you've got to read about the scenario, then there's a few things you've got to work out, then you've got to find all the right tiles, and they're in a big pile because of the way that they're double-sided. You've got to find the right one for the right
Assuming
spot.
you're taking
set
your
up
time.
for half an hour for a mission.
Yeah, that's about right. Assuming you're taking your time and you're not rushing, it can take about half an hour from scratch to fully ready to play.
Yeah.
That's reasonable.
Okay. Next slide.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a campaign mission. And it shows, like, so this is the DM guide, so he would see the terrain. Sometimes you don't place all the terrain, am I right, Mark? And that what it was when you open the door, the pieces get placed, so you don't know what's behind the door until you open it. Sometimes.
So you generally speaking, every one I've played, you set up the entirety of the map. You set up all the terrain, as in the board pieces, but you don't set up everything that's on them. Until they get to the trigger points to say what's behind this door, where are the Imperials spawning from, all this sort of stuff.
And then here's your, like, you know, like I said, you get 2 sentences of lore, or 2 paragraphs. So you get a quick mission read thing. Someone has to put on a fancy voice and read it in a very DM style voice.
Command has assigned you a brutally simple task. You are to cause a diversion, etc., etc., etc.
All right, you're going to do voiceovers for my future videos. Perfect. Yes. So basically, there's another page to this where the DM gets told, like, but you can see at the top of the screen there it says in reserve, because the DM's typically playing as the Empire, so he's got an ATST, he's got Darth Vader, he's got some Royal Guard, he's got Stormtroopers. And
can you just run Darth Vader as a DM? Can you just run Darth Vader from gank the whole damn party?
With a couple of restrictions. You can't just overpower stuff necessarily, but you can. The where it says below.
I know you don't
groups,
want to, because a good DM wouldn't do that. But
yeah, below reserve groups it says open groups 2, and that means you can have 2 NPC groups of your choice to supplement what the mission says are in here, and you can put whatever you want in there with a couple of restrictions and limitations based on what's been unlocked throughout the campaign.
So don't stick Darth Vader and the Emperor just walking along mopping everything up.
Yeah, generally probably not. You can, but
I know it's not good DMing, but it's almost like that kind of
there's
always
also,
that I want to win scenario that I bet John has there.
There's a set of things called reinforcement points, and each turn the Imperial player can add extra reinforcements or extra troops onto the board to replace what's been killed by the players. And that amount of reinforcement points is dictated by how far through the campaign you are, how powerful the players are, how much they've done, whether the campaign says you get extra troops just to make this particular bit of the mission harder than others. And Darth Vader will cost like 16 reinforcement points, and a squad of 3 stormtroopers will cost 6 reinforcement points. So you might have to save up for a couple of turns if you want to put Darth Vader on the field.
So
sort of thing.
there is a kind of built-in balancing mechanic to
Yes,
limit the amount of getting
Absolutely.
ganked by Vader
yes, there is.
that can happen.
Or Darth Maul, or the Royal Champion, or any of the other gribbly things the Imperial
Who
player
the
can
hell's the
get
Royal
access to.
Champion?
There's a Royal Guard champion called Kier Canos, who was in the Crimson Empire series of graphic novels for Star Wars back in the day.
I've read some of the Star Wars comics, but I don't think I read that series.
He's basically a named Royal Guard, and the Royal Guard champion in this is disgustingly powerful. He's very cool. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, and you can see there what I said before, like some of the missions will bleed from, I guess, outside to like inside a facility, or if you're in Hoth, you could bleed from outside to the snow planet or whatever. I mean, it's kind of cool how the...
That looks very Endor inspired, that, with like your shield generator bunker and...
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I think it might be the Forest Moon from Yavin that you mentioned earlier, but I can't remember exactly this mission.
Page 26, it'll be that sort of area in the campaign, yeah. There or thereabouts. Or a general Imperial facility on a wooded planet somewhere. Who knows? Who cares?
But it is nice because I think that when you buy those extra expansions, you start opening up those areas. It just adds so much, because it's like you can bring the maps just get gianter and gianter, and if you look at some of the maps from, I think it's the Heart of the Empire, like they're huge. They're like 3 times this size almost. Okay, so that is campaign mode, and that's where most of my experience is. I wanted to say that I did a quick head count, and in the next slide I wanted to say there's 25 Empire characters or enemies, and there's about 25 mercenary characters or enemies. And what's interesting here is you see at the top how there's 2 Stormtrooper cards. That means like every time you fight a Stormtrooper, it doesn't necessarily have to have the same amount of health, or it doesn't need to be the same like ornaments or whatever. So it's like different. You could fight a strong squad of Stormtroopers, like essentially the red card is an elite version of the same unit. So although they have like, let's say 25 physical models, you then sometimes have 2 versions of the same thing. Obviously, like there's only one Darth Vader, but you could fight a really hard squad of Royal Guard, or you could fight a really easy one. Same with a bunch of those cards. So it just gives a bit more variance, I guess, to the levels.
The top left of these cards are the reinforcement points that it costs to bring them onto the board. And so you can see that one squad of Stormtroopers costs 6 to bring on, and that's the weak squad. And one squad of Stormtroopers costs 9, and that's the elite squad.
Yeah, and you can see...
So is that kind of like squad of Stormtroopers kind of your standard basic stuff, or are they actually quite elite compared to the things you generally fight in?
The grey Stormtroopers are really easy to kill. They're cannon fodder for the players to feel good about mowing down in their hordes. The elite Stormtroopers take a little bit more damage to do, but they're also not horrifically powerful either. So
they're kind of like your goblins of Imperial Assault.
Yeah.
Skeletons.
Yeah, a regular Stormtrooper is just their throwaway essentially for the Imperial player in this. Which is kind
so that Royal Guards, is that only one Royal Guard though? Is it a squad of?
That's a squad of 2 Royal Guards. Beneath the 8 of the Royal Guard, you can see 2 little tabs, and that shows it's a squad of 2, where 2 models. Whereas the Stormtroopers is a squad of 3 models. The probe droid is a single one. Vader's a single one. The Imperial officer is a single model per squad.
Cool. That probe droid model, I know we're going off topic a little bit, that probe droid model that was in earlier on, I thought it wicked. I don't know.
It's very
maybe in person it's not nearly as good, but on the picture I thought that looks cool.
Yeah, it's fun. They're nicely made. It's a great little variety of having some visual things on there. And even if you just want to do as basic stuff as like spray all your Stormtroopers white, put a little bit of white contrast on them, spray all your probe droids metal or gunmetal and put a bit of black ink on them, it'll just add that little bit of extra appearance to the models and how they look on the board for the players.
So this looks wicked at the moment because it's all the good Star Wars and none of the shit Star Wars.
You are absolutely right.
Of the shit Star Wars,
There's
trust
no
me.
prequel stuff in Imperial Assault. There is no episode 7 or 8 or 9 in Imperial Assault. It's purely episodes 4, 5, and 6. with a tiny little bit of Star Wars Rebels cartoon series added.
That's just because they added Thrawn, and Thrawn is cool. Even he is good Star Wars on the
Yeah.
Newsies stuff.
Well, but even Thrawn was extended universe, so
He was.
he was 4, 5, 6 before Rebels even existed.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're not wrong.
Long before Rebels was a thing. Because even I know about him.
So you see how if we just before we move on, if you look at that Stormtrooper card in the top left, you can see there they have a gun that uses a blue and a green dice. So they would roll the blue and the green. Now, if you look at the difference between the two Stormtroopers, if they roll a surge, for example, on the Stormtrooper on the left, a surge on a dice converts to 2 hits, because it says like surge +2.
This is just below the picture of the Stormtrooper on the card.
I can see it.
Yeah.
And then you can see in the weaker, so when you roll a surge on the better squad of Stormtroopers, you can either basically add 2 damage or 3 accuracy, whereas on the weak squad you add 1 damage or 2 accuracy. So you can that's kind of how the Empire players play, right? So it's like they're rolling their dice, they're getting those surges, and then they have a bit of customization with what they want to do with those surges, right? And then I've said for sort of allies, there's a giant roster.
Are they comically bad at hitting things? Like, these blast points are too accurate for sand people. And
they're not comically, but the Imperial player will have, I don't know, 4 or 5 models on the board for every Rebel player, every Rebel model that is there. So you're reliant on numbers. So because of that, they're inherently a lot shitter than your average player character. Because your player character is going to need to deal with hordes of stormtroopers when you get right down to it.
Yeah, I mean, usually when a probe droid appears, it would be like 2 or 3 probe droids for the players who are expected to just kill all them without taking very much damage whatsoever.
Probe droids are great because you can just fly them up next to the rebel players and self-destruct and explode and do automatic damage that they can't dodge. It's really funny.
Okay, so that gives you a gist of it. Or that gives you a gist of the enemies you would. So when you're playing as the Empire player, you'll have all these cards in front of you, right? So they're like quick reference cards to keep you up to date.
Do the players get to see these? Are they like secret? The player doesn't know.
No, they're not secret.
A red stormtrooper or a grey stormtrooper, or
if they're not yet deployed into the game, the players don't get to know what they are. Once they're on the board, they're visible and can be seen and checked and referred to by the players at any point if they want to see what a stormtrooper is capable of. Yes.
And you know those little base extender rings you sometimes get for like marking squads on 40k? They're quite useful here because if you've got 3 squads of stormtroopers on the board, for example, you almost want to be like, those are my red squad, those are my blue squad, and those are my green squad, because the red squads and green squads might be elites, and then the blue squads might not be. So micromanaging that can be pretty tricky if you've not. So I 3D printed like 15 different colors of base extenders. So every squad that goes on the board can be marked back to a card. And they do actually give you little stickers. Like if you buy the box, they'll give you little stickers of different colors you could stick on the units. But if you're going to paint them and spray them, you're not really going to want to stick stickers on them. So, but they provide that for you, so you've got at least that as well. So they thought of everything. Like if you just bought the core set, download the app, you're on your own, you could have a great time.
Fair enough.
Next slide. Skirmish mode.
I mean, well, I can tell you what it is. I've never played it either because it didn't really appeal to me. But ultimately, it is one person has a little task force or army. The other person has a little task force or army, and they have a fight.
So is it balanced by those recruitment points we saw on the last
one? That's exactly right.
We'll play a 500 recruitment point game.
Yep.
Probably not 500. You know what I mean, though. 100 recruitment points, whatever.
And there are a lot of scenarios that they've made for mission purposes, and there are a lot of pre-done map configurations that they've done if you want to do those.
You're bringing your special characters here for this?
Yeah, absolutely. They've all got their own
points
rating, their own reinforcement points rating. So you could do Vader and the Emperor and Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan and Han and Chewie if you wanted. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean the picture there shows exactly what it's like when it's set up for a game. That's what it feels like. The cards around. I think the reason they've got the cards tapped there probably means that units had their move this turn. I don't remember tapping cards to particularly.
Also, some of the bits
because some of us aren't like massive nerds. What the fuck does tapping a card mean?
It's a Magic the Gathering term that says when you've used the ability that this card's letting you tap it, which is turning it 90 degrees on its side to show
So
that
it's where
you've
those
used a
ones that
special
rotated.
ability. Yeah, and then when it's start your turn again, you untap it to put it right way up again, and then that shows its ability is available to be used.
So it's like in Blood Bowl, turning your players to face the other way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly like that.
Okay, so I didn't buy it for skirmish mode though. I think probably because skirmish mode is tacked on here because I think it's a campaign game. It's probably
skirmish mode is solid. It's
it?
Nice solid rule set. It can work. It can play very very well, but we've got 40k. We've got Star Wars Legion.
You think?
God knows how many war games you want.
Yeah. Do you think that that it was a lot of people actually did like this skirmish mode is what led to Legion? Because Legion's all PvP, isn't it?
Yes.
That's entirely possible.
So that was kind of Legion was almost like a spin-off of this PvP mode into a proper game.
They
Probably.
did have events and tournaments at places like the UK Games Expo and Gen Con and whatnot, where they did tournaments of the skirmish mode for this. So, yeah,
and
possibly.
They also, I don't think you'll be able to get them anymore. They also sold, so if you have all the big boxes, you can make all these fancy levels. They actually sold some of those levels just like canvas mats for like $12.99. So if you don't want to buy all the big boxes, you just want to play skirmish mode, but you wanted that map, you could just buy that map.
Or you get the design of it from a photograph and print it or something. But yeah, either way.
So, all right, let's skip over skirmish mode. I guess play it if you enjoy PvP. Yes, I talked a lot about character advancement. So I thought I'd show you some abilities that cost XP. I thought I'd show you some, like a holdout blaster, and then I'd show you some of the status effects. So
the way XP will work is at the end of each mission, you'll get every player character and the Imperial player will get 1 XP each, and you'll get another 1 or 2 based on whether or not you succeeded at achieving certain objectives during the mission, be them optional or part of the victory conditions of the mission itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then each player, depending on who the rebel character you've got is, has got their own list of upgrades.
Yes, so you would then spend your XP on a choice of upgrades that will give you abilities like +2 health.
And does that affect the Imperial player as well then?
Yes, the Imperial player gets their own set of upgrades that they can choose to spend XP on.
So does that then upgrade? I'm saying some stuff, but does that then upgrade? Like, I get this upgrade on Stormtroopers. Do all of my Stormtroopers now have that upgrade?
There are some upgrades that can do that. Yes, they tend to cost a lot of XP because they're very wide-reaching.
Is slightly better.
Yeah,
but then he got shot because he's still fodder.
Yep, you can get an XP upgrade that will reduce the reinforcement point cost of all of your cheap-ass Stormtroopers, for example. And that'll be an expensive one, so you couldn't get it till later on in the campaign. But
because of course, player characters can't die, but Imperial ones can.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the other part is at the end of each campaign you get credits, which you can then spend, at the end of each mission, you get credits, which you can then spend in shops, and you also sometimes get loot, like that blaster is a piece of loot that would be given at the end of a mission. So
there are crates and containers dotted around the map for every campaign mission. The more of them you loot, the more money you get to spend divvied up between the players at the end of each mission. And depending on how far through the campaign you are, you can buy shit gear, okay gear, or really good gear.
And then I put some of the status effects I mentioned on there as well. So there's quite a deep mission. It's quite a deep game, and it's quite cool to the app will, like, if you go to the shop and buy a few items for your character, the app will track that. So if you don't come back to play for 3 months, you can then look up your character in the app and be like, oh cool, last time round I had a holdout blaster.
That's pretty useful because some of these games I've been playing, if it's been a couple of months since you last played it, you're sitting there looking at your scribbled notes going, what?
So I did that in a slightly different way. I never did a scribble note for what everybody had or made them do it. I just made them lay out their character sheet and all their upgrades, and I'd take a photo of it with my phone at the end of every mission, and I'd just refer back to that the next time it came to set stuff up.
Oh, that's clever. Yeah, that's way clever, because it's funny how you can't read your own handwriting in 3 months' time. Okay, so yeah, stunned, bleeding, focused. There is a lot more abilities and status effects than shown here. The deck of cards was about this thick, so I just picked like 10 out of 100. Yeah. And that was just the core box. I don't remember if there's more of those cards in the expansions.
You get more gear. You get a couple more status effects introduced over the course of the expansions, like little force points that can be done to things. Yeah, there's a few of them. It doesn't overwhelm you. once all the cards are separated out into their own separate, disparate decks. But there's a lot of variety granted.
There's a lot. Have you ever played? Have you ever played those D&D like games? Like the Dungeons and Dragons made a board game that was basically like there was one called.
I'm aware of them, but I've not got around to playing them now.
The one I've got is the Legends of Drizzt one. I heard you guys speaking about Drizzt. It's exactly the same as Imperial Assault. That's maybe where I was getting confused. I think in the Legends of Drizzt one, when you get enough XP, you flip your card, and then you're like level 2 version of Drizzt or level 2 version. But the sort of mechanics, the core of it, the medipack mechanics. So in this game, you get medipacks, but they're like party wide. So if you've got somebody that keeps dying, you get to a point where like, dude, you're not getting any more of our medipacks because we've got one left. You use the last 3, and that's the exact same mechanic in that D&D light board game where like my wife, when we played it, she's just burning through all of her fucking medipacks, and we're like, Charlotte, will you stop? Will you stop?
Board game mechanics at work tend to get reused because it's kind of hard to pick up new ones.
So
If they work.
I guess move on.
All right.
Yeah.
Any questions, Tony?
No, I think that's that makes sense to me. So, and as our audience are all universally smarter than I am, they're probably just sitting there bored. Like, why is this taking so long to explain such a simple thing? It's because I'm dense. Tired anyway.
Cool.
These are cool.
Yeah, so this is three pages from the Learning to Play guide. I think if you
go through in detail,
I was going to say
crazy.
You can pause it here and look at them if you want, but let's just say that basically, if you imagine most of these games, it's like you can do a double move or you can do like a move and a shoot, right? Like it's a sort of standard board game mechanic that you would see in a game like this. And this gives you an example of like how you draw line of sight, how you would use your move, etc., how you would interact with objects.
Cover is granted, all the sort of stuff, yeah. And because it's a grid, there's no issues with measuring or anything like that. It's very solidly delineated what counts and what doesn't count, and it's hard to mess it up.
Yeah, so the tutorial is very easy. If you haven't played the game like I had in 3 years, when I started going through this, I was like instantly brought back to when we did this tutorial mission. I was like, oh yeah, this is really easy actually. Yeah, you just need a quick refresher on it, So it's positive if you want, but like you can see, it's all high quality stuff. Like it's a high quality board game, I'd say.
So is this Learning to Play book the rule book, or is it like a quick start guide?
The Learning to Play book is sort of like the first mission that you play. It's a quick start-ish with a mission all in one little booklet, and then you have a separate, very thorough encyclopedia-esque rules.
Like a proper rule book with
an index and everything. Yeah, exactly. That you can refer to.
The Learning to Play mission is actually really fun. It really sets the scene of where you are in the Star Wars universe as well. And it's a really good mission. Like it's just the second you've played that, you're like, wow, this is a cool game. I want to play more.
It's well balanced. It's nicely done to give you a little bit of a hook. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll agree. It's very good.
Okay. Cool. All right. And then this is just one of the boxed expansions, so you can see sort of how much you get in here.
Is that like a tank?
Yeah,
it's a little like speedery tank thing. Yeah,
you're right. It's a little Imperial hover tanky thing.
The
that
scale
is not from any of the films.
I was going to say this.
Can that go on the tiles?
Yeah,
are the tiles big enough for like vehicles and tanks?
Yeah, they are. So the size of base. You'll see in the little foam inserts on the right there, you've got the various characters which have just got a round base. Then you've got a couple of Wampas below, and their bases are the size of 2 normal round bases. And then the Imperial tank above, its base is the size of 2 by 3 spaces.
Okay. So does that affect how it can move? So
yes,
you've got a double base one, so you can't get down these corridors because they're only single base.
You can't
wide.
fit down this door, all this sort of thing. And the ATST does the same thing. The Rancor does the same sort of thing. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, so I guess you get the tile sets, you get 16 additional miniatures. It says that there. I think the 3 there that are in the different colour will be the playable ones. So you get 3 new characters that the players can pick from.
The beigey tan colour ones are the heroes, and the grey ones are the antagonists.
you can see HK-47 sneaking at the bottom right, or a hunter-killer droid, whatever they're called. Hunter-killer droids, I think, right?
Yep.
So, yeah.
That's right.
That's kind of
Okay,
why
I
I
know
went
what
for
they
the
are.
Hoth one first, because I love those hunter-killer droids, or I loved it.
Is that the probe droid, or is that something different?
It's an assassin droid, basically.
Oh, like IG-88?
Similar. HK-47 is a character in the video game Knights of the Old Republic, and the design of this particular assassin droid is based on him.
Right.
Yeah. He was the assassin droid that used to call everyone a meatbag, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was sarcastic, he was vicious, he was hilariously funny. He was great. He
I
gave
never
no
played
fucks.
I played a lot of the games, but I never played that one.
No,
Knights of
they're
the Republic is one of the
redoing
best.
that one.
Yeah, they're redoing it for PS5, which is good because the original PC version of it is very dated at this point.
That's not the MMO one, is it?
No, it's the one before that, or two before
Total
that.
1 and 2 precede the MMO.
Yeah, they were on like Xbox One, I think it was.
Yeah.
That'd be probably before that, wouldn't it? Xbox.
No, it's Xbox.
Oh, you mean
One's about
original Xbox? Sorry.
Yeah, like
right.
the,
Very first.
'Cause when you say Xbox One, I'm thinking the console. The
oh no,
Xbox
yeah,
One,
sorry,
which
sorry.
has just
Yeah.
been replaced by the Xbox Series X, and I was like, "What?" But
It's like the
that's only a
fourth
few years
generation Xbox. Yeah, it was a very weird naming convention.
old.
Although,
Yeah,
weirdly, I do know why they called it that. If anybody gives a tiny
yes,
flying
I
fuck.
care. I love this nerdy shit.
Do you want me to tell you? All
Yes.
I wasn't joking. I do.
They called it the Xbox One because they want it to be the one device you plug into your telly, and you don't plug anything else into your telly. You just plug the Xbox in.
Yeah, and then you leave your Kindle attached, and then there's an advert for the Xbox that goes Xbox on and turns everybody like the Super Bowl off for everyone.
Yeah, and that's why all the adverts for Xbox One were all about how you can watch the TV on it and sports and Call of Duty and TV and sports.
Yeah, okay.
I see.
That now makes sense. But yeah, I love all that shit. Look, I mean, this is what I've been playing with. I've got like an Atari. Yeah, I've been playing with my Amiga Mini.
Dude.
I saw that at Christmas. I almost bought one. Is it good?
Oh, it's wicked. Yeah, it's so cute. But the only problem with it is the keyboard's a fake one, so you've got to plug a real keyboard into it if you want to actually do proper Amiga shit. And it doesn't have the Amiga operating system from the later desktops, because I love old computers and consoles and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, so what I've done, the reason you can see Leia Organa, the little picture of there, she's one for the Return to Hoth. It makes sense, she was on Hoth in the movies. So she is one of the separate blisters. So I bought her blister, I cut out that little thing to remind me, and I just put her into that insert. Yeah. So she just lives in that box. I don't want to carry about 1 million blister packs. So if we were doing the Hoth campaign, I would be able to take Leia along with my rebels to fight. Yeah. And then those little stickers I told you about as well, there they are in the bottom right. So if you wanted to take a little sticker and go, this is the blue Stormtrooper squad, so I don't forget which squad is the elite squad while we're playing the game, they're included.
I've actually got a recently delivered box that I've ordered like within the last few weeks to add to my collection. I've not got around to opening it yet.
Oh, well then that's the next unboxing on the channel.
I wouldn't go that far. It's probably not that exciting. We'll see.
Star Wars is always exciting. Except
our last episode, which is our worst performing episode of Grots.
It's been out for 2 hours. Come on, give it a little bit of
yes. Okay.
I nearly died making that.
It was hilarious.
You bastards could at least watch it. No.
It was funny. I enjoyed it.
So
anyway.
I did work out, I did do some math. 6 big box expansion, 11 mercenary villain packs, 13 Imperial villain packs, 18 Rebel Ally packs, and over 40 campaign missions total. So there is a lot of content if you buy all. Yeah. If Mark says he got two or three missions a night, then you're coming back for. You could play this game every night, or you could play this game every week with your gaming group for 3 years.
So an average
and you probably
big box campaign would be, I don't know, 12 to 15 missions based on the side missions that you did in there. So work that out, how long that'll take you and your group to do, based on how quickly you want to go through it.
Yeah. Cool. Next slide. Yeah, so I'm going to say it's a 9 out of 10. I love the game. I don't know. The only thing I'd probably brings it down from a 9 out of 10 for me is that they're not making stuff anymore. Because I would still probably collect them if they were, right?
Honestly, making more stuff with this, with the way the popularity is, things are going with Mandalorian and Andor and whatnot these days, it'd be a slam dunk for me. I'm kind of surprised they're not.
Yeah. Is it because they just focus on that PvP?
Shatterpoint.
And is Well, yeah, they've got. I was gonna say, is it because they've got Shatterpoint coming out? Is Shatterpoint the new version of this?
Shatterpoint doesn't look like the new version of this. Shatterpoint looks like Star Wars Legion, but Kill Team. It doesn't look like there's any narrative or campaign or that sort of related structure to Shatterpoint, as far as I can see. I might be wrong, but I don't think so.
Is that an evil C-3PO at the top?
Yes, BT-01, is it not?
Yes, that's correct.
What makes this C-3PO more evil than the standard C-3PO?
He's got Imperial stats rather than Rebel stats.
But he's still just a protocol droid.
Yeah, basically.
He's not like competent, and that's what makes him.
That's one of the
evil.
few ones I've not got around to buying yet, so I couldn't tell you what his stats are like. Although the Jawa is an annoying little bugger. He really is.
Yeah, so you can see they did all the extended stuff from the Rebels, I guess, were in there. So this would have probably, I was going to say, were they still making Imperial Assault when the trilogy movie was coming out? But I guess it wouldn't work with a trilogy because it's not Imperial. So like the whole point of this game is you're fighting the Empire. So that really is just episode 4, 5, and 6, which is fine, which is all it need to be.
Yeah, and in terms of time period it covers, it is just prior to episode 4 through to just after episode 6.
I was gonna say, so because some of these characters I can see on there are dead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that. I think that's supposed to be Obi-Wan.
It is in the middle,
but it's like Obi-Wan with plastic surgery.
Yeah,
he's like American Obi-Wan. He's slightly more tanned and a lot more like pretty. He's got perfect teeth.
Yeah.
And that's Greedo, who's also dead.
Yes.
Quite early on in the trilogy.
Yep. Although there are generic Rhodian sort of bounty hunters as well as Greedo, the main character. Yeah.
Yeah, his twin, Greeda.
Yeah.
And then the Inquisitor who got stabbed through the stomach. Oh shit, spoiler. He's not dead. Don't worry.
I don't know anything about that.
Don't worry about it.
There weren't the Inquisitors in the original 3 movies, so I don't know what you're talking about.
It's true.
Okay. What would you give it, Mark, out of 10? Since you
I'd go the same as you for pretty much the same reasons. I had great fun playing it. I had great fun running it for my friends. I'd love to do so again. It was cinematic. It was engaging. They got to level up their characters, get new gear. They did a little bit of role playing as they went along. It was great fun. Really enjoyed it.
Okay. I said if you have a comment, you could leave it below about your favourite mission or your favourite character or your favourite paint job.
Or if you even know what this is and have played it before. Yeah, whatever. Cool.
I think that's all the slides that I have for Imperial Assault. Does that tell you what the fuck it is? Because that's the point of the video.
Well, I'll give it a rating of, I think it looks cool. Yeah. I would like to play it. The things that hold me back a little bit, having no investment in it, so I don't own this game. I've never played this game. I've heard of it. I worry about the availability. And it looks wicked, but I'd hate to like get hold of that base game. But like, this is awesome. I'm loving it. Oh, I can't buy it. And I think that would be a thing.
Availability is only going to get worse at the moment, although for the time being, all the boxes are available. Some of the more obscure blister expansion packs for like the Sith Inquisitor might be hard to get hold of, but the base game and everything you need to play it is still readily available.
And because I'm a huge co-op board game fan, it might blow your mind. I'm not actually all that competitive, and I quite like playing with my mates rather than against my mates, or just I like being a DM and I just like dicking people over. But I do feel that it comes across as quite shallow because you don't have that much control over like your character. I like the role-playing aspect of things like D&D or
you don't have a lot of agency. You're right. You don't have a lot of control.
But
you go
this feels
where the
like
says
you buy a
go.
character, and that character develops how that character was designed to develop.
Yep.
And that's a character that has a personality. It's not a blank slate that you build into your own character. And I think if it was me picking a game out of the thing, because you're not using, like I've mentioned already that I love the Resident Evil board game, but the Resident Evil board game has got known characters. They are characters from the games. They have a personality. They play through, and that's cool because you played them in the game. Now you can play them in the thingy, and that's a bit different. It doesn't pretend to have any. It doesn't try and have any of that sort of like role playing element to that. Whereas this one sort of feels a bit like it wants to be an RPG, but doesn't want to give you too much freedom to be an RPG. John said earlier, RPG light.
Yeah, that's about right.
That's what I think it is. Yeah,
it loses a lot of the freedom that a tabletop RPG would have to try and make it more accessible and sort of compact. So it's basically just the fights and the action sequences from a Star Wars movie or series of movies, rather than the stuff between the fights and the action sequences.
But without using all the named characters, so they can do whatever the fuck they want with them. Basically.
Yeah, and the named characters might appear in one fight or scene and then go away again and go off and do their own thing.
It reminds me a little bit of a tabletop version of Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying with I've got the D&D tabletop game here. Yeah, I mean it's the same.
Well, you pick a character; it's a character, and then you play through the game.
Yeah.
The campaigns are all pre-written.
You've got a little bit of agency. You can pick this skill or this skill, but
for me that was the appeal. And the reason for that is I don't have the time or interest to go writing a full D&D or other tabletop role-playing campaign these days, and I don't want to have to work things out on the fly when my players come up with stupid ways to go about how they're going to navigate this particular problem or issue. But on the other hand, this is a game where all the writing's done for me. I can set it up. I can run it for my players. They can get their way through it. I can put it away. And they've had the opportunity to enjoy playing a game. I've had the opportunity to enjoy running one without the hassle of working all the bullshit out. About how it's going to be or how to keep it on rails outside of that. If that makes sense.
I've been in that position. I've DM'd a few games, and depending on the party that you're playing with, I like to put a lot of work into my world building and my character, and I do. You guys know this, but I plan even when we do an episode, I plan to the nth degree where I'm going to go with it.
And the work is cool, and it makes it so immersive, and it's worthwhile, but it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, but the flip side of that is that, and I've played a bunch of D&D games where like I've played the Star Wars one. I have the Star Wars one, whatever it's called. Age of the Empire.
There's been like 3 or 4 different Star Wars role-playing games at this point.
And I remember one time we were trying to go into a Imperial base to steal a shuttlecraft, right? And there was electric fences. And we honestly spent like 3 hours. All we needed to do was just fucking snip the electric fence. So we'd been through in there in like 5 minutes. And the DM didn't push us. And we're farting around outside this fence. Maybe we'll come back tomorrow when it's nighttime. Blah 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 blah. No one can fucking make a decision. No one wants to ruin the group, and that's the thing that. Although this is D&D light, it's light enough where you will have fun. You'll get through a mission. You'll feel like you accomplished something, and if time is your enemy, and in my case, I guess it is because I get kids.
I think it's in all our cases now. We're not students anymore. We haven't got infinite time to plan campaigns and 8-hour. If I want to spend an 8-hour D&D session, I'm going to get the serious cold shoulder when I get home. Because I probably should have done something around the house or something like that.
Perfect.
Marks and papers.
So I wouldn't rate it down because it's D&D light at all. I would actually say if this is what you're looking for and you just want to complete a mission in a single evening and make some progress, then this actually
does it work standalone? Like you all get together, you play a mission. You don't have to play a campaign. You can just get it out of the box and have a fun time. Maybe use the app and then put it away.
You can play it that way if you wish. Yes,
it does work. It doesn't matter. You can't be but this is
there are 17. Balancing mechanics that will take into account player progression or lack of player progression versus how much Imperial stuff will be on the board at any given time. You can do it that way. You lose a little bit because you're not seeing player characters grow and develop.
Of course.
Over time.
But you just say you want to play a cool mission with Darth Vader in it and whatever, you can just pick it up. You pick a character and play the lane.
I would say it's optimal, but it's possible.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I feel enlightened.
My pleasure.
I hope
I'm looking
so.
forward to running it again soon because I will
Yeah,
be running
well-
it in about 5 weeks, I think.
Nice.
I'll be on holiday in the Netherlands for a week and a half with my WoW guild meet, and I've offered to run the intro mission for as many of them as want to play it over and over again. And then if they like it, maybe we can go into campaign or not. So we'll see how that goes.
Cool.
Sounds wicked.
Pile of glory. Tony, what have you been up to?
So I haven't had a lot of free time lately, but I've tried to get a few little bits done. I've got some Amazons that I've got painted and base coat and painted and undercoated, but I haven't got any further than that with them. I painted a very old early 90s Space Marine captain model.
Is
which
it
the original
just
Blood
an
Angels captain.
excuse to put hazard stripes on his
Yeah.
cloak? That's the
Well-
only reason why you did it.
Well, there is a very old piece of art which has got a load of like Rogue Trader level piece of art, and it's got this golden captain surrounded by Blood Angels and Terminators and stuff fighting. And somebody on the Discord, which was Brick, pointed out that if you look closely, the man in that very old original painting has a hazard stripe cloak on.
Really?
He does. And I was like, no, really? And I looked, fuck, he does. And then they were like, I dated paint a man with a hazard stripe cloak. And I was like, well, I'll go one better. I'll get the model based on that piece of art, and I will paint a hazard stripe cloak on him.
Where did you find this model?
Have you not seen that?
Well,
You can
recently
pick
they
it up
actually,
on eBay, really easy.
Can you pick it up easy? Can you? Okay.
They recently actually did a rerun. You know when they do the old models re-release on GW? They did a
Oh yeah,
re-release.
made to
And they
order.
wanted like 20 quid for him. And if you put him next to like a normal firstborn Marine, a standard firstborn Marine is about a head taller than him.
Oh really?
my
Okay.
fucking God, he does as well.
He is absolutely tiny. But I've had him since the 90s.
Okay. Cool.
So it's like, you know, he's like battering around in a bits box.
Why
Yes.
has he got
Those
hazard
models.
stripes on his cloak? The
So
fuck?
it's bonkers. And it's a really weird colour scheme as well. Why is his backpack
How could I have
red?
never seen that before?
He's got a red backpack on. He's got a gold bolter.
Yeah.
Like the color scheme's bonkers, and I was like, do you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to build him then. So even though I've got loads of things that need doing and whatnot, I've got a lot of stuff elsewise going on that needs doing. I was like, no, I'm going to waste an unreasonable amount of time doing a fully gold fucking guy with a hazard stripe cloak and a red backpack on.
Brilliant.
And I'm going to edge highlight the backpack as well because I'm a loser.
Was that a single piece of metal monopose and then the backpack is separate?
The backpack and the cloak
It's
is
one
a
piece.
single piece of metal that
And
glues
the
onto
rest
the
is
model,
yellow.
which is a single piece of metal.
So the backpack's metal as well, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it's a slotter base as well.
Oh right,
But he's
okay.
not on one. He's supposed to be on a 25mm slotter base, and I stuck him on a 32. Which because it was a bit bigger and it looked better.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm never going to play with him anyway.
I got one of those.
I made it for a pure laugh.
Might
Like
have
wasting
to-
all this time fucking edge highlighting each one of those gems instead of my normal quick way as well.
That was the first nipple armor, I think.
Yeah, well, it's the model that Tycho and Dante and that were all based on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually,
So it predates
existed.
all of those. It's the original Blood Angels captain model.
Yep.
It's an awful model. He's like basically flat.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't look it, but the detail is awful.
Yeah, I bet.
Just
the
like
detail-
no definition at all. So I'm like very carefully with slightly paler golds trying to put a bit of definition in his chest and shit. Because otherwise it just looked like a flat lump of gold. It was awful. It took so much time as well. Such a wasted effort.
It's not wasted effort. You got to
just so
show
I
us
could go,
out.
I've
You're
made a man that
laughing
hasn't
and
stripe
smiling
cloak.
about it. That's all that matters.
So other than that, I've just been buggering about really. I've done a little bit more on my Wilhelm Shaney model. I'm just trying to build a bit of depth into the fur. I've started on another squad of Alarus Terminators for boarding action.
That's the Land Raider, isn't it? That's not that's not a Spartan. That's the Land Raider you bought.
That's a Land Raider Proteus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super Burt, if I can find the box. It's this one, in fact.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
And I built it without the assault ramp on the front, without the twin linked heavy bolters on it. And the reason I built it in its objectively worst configuration
Mhm.
is because the original Land Raider model had 2 las cannons on the side, 1 heavy bolter on the top, and no front assault ramp. So I built it like that because that's how it originally was.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
And fuck it, if I want to win, I wouldn't be running a Land Raider.
Yeah.
So bollocks to it. I built it like that. Looks cool. And that's just a whirlwind that I kicking about needed doing. So stuck a whirlwind on the painting pile, needed doing.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that's what I've been doing. A bit of work in progress and too much time spent on a very, very old model.
You've enjoyed it though. That's what matters.
Never laugh.
Stern Guard are reasonably cheap now at 100 points. You get 2 multi-meltas and 3 combi weapons and a power fist for 100 points. That sounds competitive to me. So that's
a tactical squad.
I mean, it's just all the random ass bits I have. That's even the top of a Sangry Guard banner on that guy's backpack. I don't really know why that's on there.
I like always one-handed a plasma gun.
It's
I like the way the plasma gun's clearly been sprayed from above and not from beneath, and is just like missing red paint on one side of the plasma gun.
I usually spray them white first, so I guess like I was just I put these guys. I sprayed them in the pitch black the other night because I was just like, I might be taking a Stern Guard squad to GT in like 6 days. I hammered them together before we came on here. I basically gave them a coat of red paint in like 10 minutes flat. So yes, I think 2 multi-meltas and 3 combi plasmas for 100 points is really actually very competitive. And I've been firing the plasmas on high power because I figure, well, they're only 20 points per model. I don't care if they die.
Have you had the balls yet to fire Mephiston's pistol on high power?
Never.
60% of the time he dies every time.
I was going to say, Karn the Betrayer now has a plasma pistol that always does 2 damage and doesn't overheat. Balanced.
I really don't like that. I want it to overheat and him not care.
Is that the same as Cypher's plasma pistol as well? Because it's like a relic one rather than a modern one. When they knew how to make and work that shit.
So
I threw this together very, very quickly.
But hang on, they overheat and kill you in well, they don't always kill you. You get an armor save, I think. In Horus Heresy.
Oh, I don't know then. Fuck knows.
It's probably written in there. It's like a relic that doesn't overheat and kill you, but
an artisan or mastercrafted or something made by a Tau, God knows, whatever. There's no pile of glory for me in this because I didn't think we were doing them, so I didn't take any pictures and I didn't.
Has John put the Shane picture up? We don't know. We'll find out.
We'll find out in a second when there's one picture left.
There's one picture left, and I want it to be the Shane
probably
one.
Not a Shane picture.
So what have you painted anything, Mark?
What? I
know you did your beautiful cabinet last time.
I've been over the last weekend. I've been building 3 shining spears, which are fiddly little bastards to make. I built 3 of them and sprayed them, and put them together while I was binging the seasons of Star Trek Picard, which were quite fun to do. And then I started on another little project I've got going for my Lumineth Realm Lord army in Age of Sigmar. Which is I built some dragon riders.
Oh, they're cool.
I've built dragons, and I'm just going to start doing the riders and put them on top with the lances and have them fly around, get them sprayed and painted as well. So it's not that I've not done anything; it's just that I didn't bother taking any pictures.
Which is slightly different.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's me.
Have you got the Shane picture? Why haven't you not put the Shane picture? I want the Shane picture.
I didn't do a Shane picture. I just thought we'd talk about what's next week on Grots.
All right.
Oh, no shame. Only.
I like the way they've put Khan on the front of the World Eaters Codex
rather than Angron.
Because Khan is cooler than Angron. Angron's a whiny bitch, and Khan is cool.
Yeah, that's pretty objectively accurate. I can't argue with that in the slightest. I mean, it's hard to be badass.
Oh my God,
when
you
you're
didn't
a
let me
demon prince.
die!
And
Really?
It's pretty easy to be badass when you're not a demon prince.
Exactly. I was like, Angron, oh yeah, if I die, I just come back. Well, then you're a massive wuss, then, aren't you?
Yeah, there's no risk for you.
There.
It's you cannot be brave if there's no risk.
Exactly. Whereas Khan's like, no, I'm going to go and headbutt Lionel Johnson because it will be a laugh. You know? Absolute legend.
Next time on Grots, we will
Massive
talk.
whiny baby.
Thank you very much, John, for putting together
Yeah, that was a lot of work.
the episode about Imperial Assault. It's been great for me to have a couple of weeks of not putting episodes together, I must confess. Having put a shitload together before then. So thank you for that respite, but I know how busy you've been doing this stuff, so...
Yeah. That was a lot of work, John. We could see that was a lot of work. And as much as I gave you shit for not doing a scroll at the beginning, 23 pages of pictures and stuff out of all the boxes and the books and that is clearly a lot of work.
So I guess the big question is that you think you know what Imperial Assault now is?
I think I know what Imperial Assault is now.
Yeah. And as you were somebody who knew very little about it, then yeah, we can hope that was a success.
Yeah, I want to give it a go. So if your aim was like a sales pitch, then you succeeded. So that's a win.
Sweet.
Cool.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Cheers,
Please
guys.
consider subscribing.
Yeah.
Like the video, and come back next week to see about the World Eaters.
Indeed.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.